Hello everyone. If you live on the coast or enjoy walking on the beach, you probably know that the sea washes a variety of things ashore. It's usually junk, shells, seaweed or plastic bottles, but sometimes the tide brings really unusual and even weird objects to the beach. Their origin is often inexplicable, but sometimes they become a worldwide sensation. In today's video, we're going to talk about these kind of discoveries. Let's get it on. Ship fender. If you see something big and dark on the shore, you'll probably think it's some poor whale that ended up on the beach. But when you get a bit closer, you realize first it's not a whale, and second, well, who knows what that is? A giant tank car? A gas tank? A bomb? A burnt sausage cooked by a giant? There are more questions here than answers. As usual, reality isn't so interesting, but it is still very mysterious. This enormous black object is a ship fender. That is, a special inflatable bumper that's attached to a boat or to the dock so that they won't hit each other. However, this 12-meter long object is not one of those things that can be easily removed or lost by accident. You know, if something this big falls off your ship, you would probably notice it. Plus, fenders are worth a fortune. However, it doesn't have any identification marks, and the owners couldn't be traced. Icebergs. If you don't live in Massachusetts or a neighboring state, you may not know what Cape Cod is. It's a small hook-shaped peninsula, very popular during the summer. Restaurants, old town neighborhoods, beaches, tourist-friendly atmosphere. Can you imagine it? In winter, there are far fewer people here, but once, due to a strange find, Cape Cod made the news. In winter, the fact is that due to the cold winter, the large amount of snow and the strong winds on the coast, something incredible happened. The beach was covered with icebergs. Huge chunks of ice and snow just popped up everywhere, covering the entire area, including the water. Timber. On January 13, 2008, the ship the Ice Prince sent a distress call. Due to the stormy weather, the Greek ship loaded with tons of timber began to tilt violently. No wonder, since there were about 5,000 tons of timber on board. The cargo moved on deck and caused the ship to fall slowly on its side. Fortunately, it happened in the English Channel, and the rescue services quickly provided assistance to the ship's crew. 12 people were rescued from the ship with the help of helicopters. 8 more were saved in lifeboats. Meanwhile, the ship continued to sink under the watchful eye of the British and French Coast Guards until it finally sank about 40 kilometers from Portland Bill. It would seem that the story should have ended with the ship at the bottom of the sea and the crew safe. But remember, it was full of wood, and when the ship hit the bottom, it rose to the surface. Of course, not all the wood, but a large part did travel along the strait from one side to the other for some time, until in the end, the timber was washed ashore at Worthing Beach, and not just 1 or 2 wooden boards, but mountains, which suddenly appeared on the coast. Old boat. Finding an old message in a bottle or a treasure map is the dream of many young adventurers, but a Florida resident and her 8-year-old son were even luckier because they found a ship. Although it wasn't a whole ship, but a 15-meter long piece. At first sight, it looked like a piece of dock or a kind of a fence floating in the sea, but once they got closer, the fence became a historical artifact. This accidental discovery took place on the beach of Ponte Vedra. The mother and son reported their discovery to the specialists, who later found other fragments. Mark Antony, an expert on antique objects and an owner of an antique shop, described the find as the holy grail of shipwrecks. According to him, shipwrecks are very rarely found on the beach, and one normally has to dive to get most of them out. Scientists have carefully analyzed the shipwreck and concluded that the ship had sunk a long time ago. However, it is hard to tell when it happened exactly. 75% of the shipwrecks in this area occurred in the 19th century, but it may also belong to the 18th century. Experts have taken photos of the fragments and plan to create a 3D model of the ship for further analysis. Green spheres. Imagine this. You go out in the morning to the beach to breathe some fresh air, jog and walk with the dog, well, whatever you do in the morning, but suddenly you stumble across something unusual. Right in front of you in the sand lies a green egg. But it's not just one, but hundreds of them. The people who were at DY Beach in Sydney that day didn't know what to think. The strange objects appeared on the shore in the middle of the night during the high tide. Some locals even described them as alien eggs. You know, green and incomprehensible things are always of alien origin. The spheres were very soft to the touch and resembled tumbleweed, but made of living grass. The answer turned out to be simple. The green eggs were actually Aegagropala lineae, a rare spherical algae. They're normally found in lakes and rivers in the northern hemisphere, so it's not clear how these balls ended up on the coasts of Australia. By the way, the round shape of Aegagropala lineae has nothing to do with tolling along the ocean floor. These algae grow uniformly in all directions and resemble a kind of underwater moss. Sometimes they're even sold for home aquariums as Japanese moss balls, but in reality the seaweed Aegagropala lineae has nothing to do with moss. They're not even related. Grand piano. A grand piano is not the kind of instrument that can accidentally be found in the bushes. It's too big. It's not a violin or a guitar after all. However, a grand piano suddenly appeared on the sands of Biscayne Bay in Miami, Florida. The instrument was placed in the highest part of the bay, so it wouldn't be affected by the tide. The Miami administration said that they weren't going to remove the piano either. According to the authorities, the instrument would only be removed if it posed a threat to river transport or to the inhabitants of the sea. Meanwhile, local seagulls, for example, like to hang out in this new place. The Environmental Protection Agency also said that they're not responsible for moving items like a grand piano. Quickly, the owners of the musical instrument appeared, oddly 3 at the same time. At first, Billy and Anais Yeager, independent filmmakers and producers, confessed to transporting the piano to the shore. It would seem that after that, the mysterious history of the grand piano would have ended, but a few days later, a 16-year-old student of the Maritime and Science Technology Academy, Nicholas Harrington, spoke to the media. The young man confidently claimed to be the owner of the instrument. Harrington said he decided to bring the grand piano to the shore after New Year's Eve, after the instrument was severely damaged and partially burned during the party. However, the young man was not simply getting rid of it. According to him, installing the piano on the sand was an art project. Huge trees. What do you expect to see while walking along La Push Beach in Washington? Maybe a werewolf tribe if you're a Twilight fan, of course. This is a really unique place. Although this isn't a paradise at all, with constant rain and the powerful ocean and its storms, tourists come here all the time anyway. La Push has a unique beach that clearly demonstrates the power of the ocean. The rocks protruding from the water were once part of the land, but over time, the powerful waves washed away the ground. And this isn't surprising, because the climate of this place makes the ocean crazy. From time to time, the waves uproot the trees growing too close to the water and just carry them away. And when we say trees, we don't mean some small apple trees or something like that. No, the ocean here is capable of uprooting and throwing huge, gigantic sequoias, and also trees from other regions. For example, in 2010, a California sequoia was washed up ashore. The tree swam hundreds of kilometers before ending up on La Push Beach. The tree weighed hundreds of tons, but for the furious ocean, it was just like a stick.
That's quite high.
Fragment of a rocket. Finding a fragment of a spaceship is every young adventurer's dream, and it's much easier to achieve than it seems at first glance. Part of a rocket was found on a beach in Florida. The metal object, which was apparently part of the Galileo satellite program, was found near a hotel by chance. It's definitely a better souvenir than a seashell. The fragment, the size of an inflatable mattress, was cordoned off with yellow tape, which immediately attracted the attention of passers-by and tourists. Finally, a team of city sweepers removed the fragments of the rocket from the shore and handed it to the police, but we still don't know exactly how the space debris ended up on the beach. Containers. The tide often brings unusual things to the coast of the Netherlands. That's what happened in January 2009. Due to bad weather, 270 containers fell from a cargo ship sailing under the flag of Panama. Apparently, the containers weren't properly fastened. The ship was carrying toys, furniture, appliances, and spare parts. In the end, almost 30 containers ended up on the beach. Of course, the locals immediately started grabbing some of the treasures to take home. Although police sent out patrols patrols to protect the goods, it was impossible to stop the treasure hunters. However, they did have to be careful. Authorities warned that at least 3 of the lost containers had a dangerous substance, organic peroxide. If the container is properly sealed, the cargo can be transported by sea. Therefore, the Dutch Coast Guard urged local residents not to attempt to open the containers or touch their contents, and also to report the discovery of new containers to the police and rescue services. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.